Welcome back. It is MRN Wing Nation presented by Sage Fruit here on MAV TV. And a lot of talk about Pennsylvania with Speed Week getting kicked off along the way here this weekend. And let's talk a little Pennsylvania and a whole lot more. Who better to do it with? Drives that number 27 Hefner racing car. Greg Hodnett's on the line. Hello, Greg. Welcome back to Wing Nation.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate you having me back.
Yeah, no doubt. We appreciate you joining us on the Hercules Tire Hotline. And Greg, when we look at, we've talked to you a couple of times on our show along the way. What are you working on? What are you working through? Do you see progress? It's not been a Greg Hodnett-like season. What types of things are you working on?
Well, you name it. We've tried it and changed it to try to get better. There are flashes of brilliance every once in a while, but then, you know, either we don't have that great of a starting spot, or things don't go our way, and things don't end up as well as we'd like. So we've kind of done a little bit of everything. We've tried, shocks, obviously doing the normal, throwing different bars, different setups, different heights, different, wheel offset, different, a little bit of everything from just a general standpoint. Then we've changed shocks as far as for like shock companies. We've even tried different chassis manufacturer just to see, well, okay, maybe it's something going on there. But we really haven't found a key combination that really gets us over the hump consistently. I mean, we can kind of fake it here and there, but over the long haul, we got to look at how fast are we really, and the few races that we have, I think we won like 4 races or so, but those races, maybe got lucky, got good draws, things go our way. So we really can't say that, yes, we're just definitely fast enough and we're good. So we just keep working on a little bit of everything, and hopefully we can find a combination that gets us back into the speed that we need to be competitive every day.
So essentially, you've thrown the kitchen sink at the race car this year. What has been, I guess, the biggest factor, from last season to this season to kind of get Greg Hodnett not where he is typically on a regular season at this time of the year?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing is I just don't think we're that fast. I mean, we're just off, and some of the other guys are actually better than they were last year, so that magnifies the deficit of we're a little off. Last year we were pretty good. We were consistent. We were a little off some of the faster guys, and at times we knew that, and we know we had to get better. But now we're a little off of that, and they're a little better. That creates an even bigger differential that we pretty much have to make that gap up. So I mean, that's our biggest thing. And as far as for physically what's going on or what's happened as far as for our speed, I don't know. I just came back. We were in Florida. We just weren't hooked up and have pretty much been spinning the tires ever since on track, but always feeling like I kind of have a right rear flat. So we're just off and don't have a real good balance right now.
Sounds familiar. Now, Greg, this weekend kicking off Pennsylvania Speed Week, for a team that's trying to find the footing, is that good news or bad news? I mean, I guess it's results are contingent, but I know there's not a lot of testing. I think you guys did a test a couple of weeks ago, but is the opportunity to run consecutive nights back-to-back, is that something you're excited about to try to get your handle on this?
Yeah, I'm excited to be able to get to a racetrack and be at a racetrack every day to try things and to think about things. And, if you want to say have no distractions from that standpoint, but in the same instance, getting your head bashed in by your competition isn't a lot of fun. And to do it 10 days in a row through Pennsylvania Speed Week is not something you look forward to. But in the same instance, you cannot get better unless you race and try things. So, where there's an opportunity to pretty much get your butt kicked, there's also an opportunity to get things better and turn things around. So it's a double-edged sword that we're going to have to take a positive approach that, hey, we're just looking at this opportunity to get better and gauge ourselves against our competition, and who right now I think is pretty good, and, just try to get things figured out. I think it's an opportunity more than it is a liability.
Indeed, yeah, exactly. Get a chance to A/B some things and work through some things as well. Greg, hang in there with us. Everyone else stick around. More with Greg Hodnett in just a moment. Welcome back. It is MRN Wing Nation, presented by Sage Fruit here on MAV TV. Spending some time on a Hercules Tire hotline with Greg Hodnett, one of the top drivers up in the Keystone State, up in Pennsylvania. So, Greg, we kind of established before the break that it's been a little bit of a rough start to you. How does this affect Greg Hodnett around the home? I mean, are you grumpy, Greg, these days, or do you get away from the track and you all right? How, you know, what would Mrs. Hodnett say, I guess?
Well, no, she says I'm pretty miserable. It doesn't matter if we win or lose. So it's just miserable times two if you want to be that type of. If you look at it from a mathematics standpoint, so yeah, miserable all the time, double miserable to here lately. So, but overall, no, it's you know, I understand the ebb and flow of racing, and anybody that's been involved with it know it's very cyclic. And when things are going great, it is you know, the best thing in the world, and when things are going bad, it's the worst thing. So the roller coaster ride is part of racing, and you know, hopefully you can. An old owner of mine, Dave Helm from Selma Shell, he used to tell me, look, this racing's got the highest of highs and lowest of lows. You have to figure out how to stay even through all of it and stay consistent, or otherwise you'll drive yourself crazy. So I've kind of taken that approach and taken his advice from a long time ago, and I just stay pretty much miserable all the time. Doesn't matter if we're winning or losing.
Oh, goodness gracious. Now, that's a little bit much. You know, Greg, I want to talk about, you've traveled with the World of Outlaws. You've raced for some phenomenal car owners. You end up in Pennsylvania for the last how many years? What, for you, is the most memorable moment with maybe a car owner or maybe one of the best races that you can remember that you've had in your past?
You know, probably one of the most fun races that I ever had was actually at the Knoxville Nationals. I think it was maybe 95-ish, where we had a pretty decent car. We were rolling pretty decent that year. We had a problem in qualifying night. We ended up blowing a motor. Something else happened, and in one of the mains, we lost the right rear shock, so we weren't handling well. Just if things could go wrong, it went wrong. And then we found ourselves in the non-qualifiers portion of the event, which and that was a Friday night. We won that. I think maybe Delansky was second. You know, some pretty good guys, and I felt pretty confident. And then in the race, we actually started 11th in the C main and made it up to 5th in the A main. And if things would have gone a little differently, I ran over the berm one time and lost a couple spots that we could have literally had a top three out of that whole night. And I think we got hard charging past, I don't know, 48, 50 cars that night. That was probably one of the most memorable, most fun races I've ever had. And to this day, I talk about it all the time because it just doesn't happen like that anymore. You can't run from the C to the B to the A like you used to. And it's just one of the few things I'm very proud of. And the guys did a great job of turning our whole week around, and giving an opportunity to do that was pretty special, and something I'll cherish forever.
Greg, I'm going to kind of continue. Ashley asked you about your favorite race. What would be the best Greg Hodnett racetrack? I mean, some guys like a big berm, some guys like dry slick, some guys like multiple grooves with a slick middle. What's the ultimate Greg Hodnett racetrack?
You know, the ultimate Greg Hodnett racetrack would be the one we just won on. And it doesn't matter what size, what shape, what condition, because actually somebody has asked me that at Fort Worth. We had an autograph night the other night. What's your favorite track? I'm like, you know, my favorite is the one that actually we go good on that day. And so I wish I had a more specific answer, but, you know, when you're kind of rolling good and the one you went out, it's like, I really like that track. Then you go back the next week and you stink, and you're like, you know what? I hate this racetrack. I don't even know why we come here.
That's hilarious. I love it. So speaking of which, Speed Week, is there one track that you're looking forward to going to the most out of all of them? I mean, Grandview, you've won the last 4 of 6, I believe, there. So.
Yeah, Grandview is a lot of fun. It's a pretty exciting small place. You know, Path Valley, we were fortunate enough to win last year, which, you know, it can be exciting. But I like Hagerstown a lot because we only go there one time a year, and it just turns out to be a very challenging track, from getting hooked up to not letting the thing slip a whole lot, and then sometimes it's really fast and you got to run as hard as you can around the curve too. So I mean, it's a challenging track, and again, we only run literally one time a year, anymore. So I really like that one. But of course, the mainstays that we go to every week, Williams Grove, Mid-Smith Memorial, it's huge. I mean, it's a big deal. It's a big deal to win. It pays the most money. It's a very prestigious race. And, of course, Portland has a couple races. Kevin Gobrecht Memorial at Lincoln, that's always a special one. And then, of course, Sealands Grove has their finale. So really, you could pick any of them. They're just all cool. It's great to be a part of it, and we have awesome fan support, and pretty much you just can't beat it with a stick, really. I mean, it's a great time, and we have a lot of fun doing it.
Lots of fun, that's for sure, and hopefully some checkered flags along the way this year as well. That race at Path last year with you and Brian Clausen, the late Brian Clausen, one of my favorite races ever, as you guys really mixed it up on that short track. Greg, we appreciate your time. Best of luck during Speed Week and on throughout the season. I know we'll chat with you along the way, but continued success, and I hope you get your arms around it, but thanks for joining us here today.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it.
There we go. That's Greg Hodnett joining us here on the program today, ready to go no matter where.
Yeah, he wants to race at every racetrack.
Wants to race at every racetrack and wants to win at every racetrack. And as talented as he is, and with that team, with Roach and that team, yes, it's going to be just a matter of time before they get their arms around it and get to victory lane on a regular basis. Hey, let's step away. Our Tweet Your Seat tweets of the week are coming up next.